But we were just talking about, like, let's say that Raina schedules 6 interviews, right? Well, she's pretty much going to be carving out 1 hour for each of those people. So that's 6 full hours. If 2 of them don't show up, the next 2 are complete idiots, and then the last 2 maybe work out, but then one of them drops off and doesn't even show up to training. You've invested 6 hours to maybe get 1 or 2 people if you're lucky. So instead, she could use 1 hour. This is what we teach in that program. So I know it sounds weird if you've never heard or seen a group interview before. You're like, how the hell does that work? But it's a whole system. There's something called a pre-screen and a post-screen. And then there's the group interview portion, which is basically a presentation where we're cleverly selling them on the position, but we're not overselling them on it. It's brilliant. Just trust me that it works like light bulbs. I don't know how light bulbs work, but they just do. So that's kind of the best way to explain it. But now you've got 1 hour. Even if half those people don't show up, you still have 3 people to interview. It's very efficient, and it's going to allow you guys to really make this a machine. That's why we call it the recruiting machine. But if you don't have the interview script and you don't have the group system strategy and all the confirmation emails, like, you're going to burn through applicants. So here's what you get. Basically, the intro. So this is just like, let me start with a bit of, you know how a sales presentation when you're closing a customer, like sales is very psychological, right? Like you could be in this business. Here's a great analogy to use. You could show up on someone's doorstep and you're still offering them basically a free roof. But if you go, hey, Mrs. Jones, did you know I could get you a free roof and I can make your insurance company pay for it? You'll only have to pay your deductible or you won't have to pay a dime. They're like, go away, you scammer, right? It doesn't work. You're offering the exact same thing, but if you go in and you do a good sales presentation, people sign the contract, no problem. Do you see what I'm saying? So how you present things to people has a huge impact on whether or not they buy in. Recruiting is the exact same way. So here, and this is just the introduction here, but I basically educate you guys on the recruiting psychology, like why things work or don't work so you can avoid mistakes and use things that are proven to be effective. Recruiting methodology, this is going to show you guys basically step by step what process you're going to follow. So it's not just an ad and an interview script, okay? If that's what it was, I wouldn't be selling it for this, this price. But this has everything. Like I give you guys step by step what to do, in what order, how many days, what days to do things, where to do them, how to screen people, what to look for, scheduling, interview confirmations, interview confirmation sheets. This is all stuff that improves your show and your retention from those interviews. How to do it all, how to have the setup. I've got the questionnaire that you're going to use, blah, 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 blah. So that's just one document, obviously. Recruiting reality, what to expect and prepare for, and then the recommended recruiting schedule. Because, guys, the way that this is going to be happening is you're no longer going to be doing the old inefficient way of doing things one at a time, because that eats up all of your time and you're putting all of your eggs in one basket for one person every single time you like run an interview or schedule one. So I've got the whole thing for a recommended recruiting schedule that has everything from when to run ads and for how long, when to schedule interviews and how often, how to schedule people for training, and then rinse and repeat how often you want. So we move right along, and this is the ad. So you guys already have the ad. Scheduling interviews, this is a system. It's not just the interview itself. So everything from what you say on the phone or what the receptionist might say when they answer is very important. So there's an outgoing phone interview script to schedule. There's an incoming phone interview script to schedule people. And then there's an interview confirmation email, which improves your show. Because remember, when people reply to your ad, they're not just replying to yours. They're replying to like 10 other ads that they're seeing online. So you have to improve your show. I know it sounds crazy. Like, why would somebody schedule an interview and not show up? But they just do. They do it all the time. You guys have probably experienced it. So this confirmation series drastically increases your show. So that's where you're seeing like somebody like Josh or Allison or Joe or Lisa. They've got, 30 people scheduled for interviews and 27 people show up. It's a Christmas miracle. But this is all a process, and that's why it works, okay? So scooting on back, then you've got the interview script and sequence. So this is basically the process when people are showing up, what you're going to be bringing them through. So there's a sheet they fill out, which makes it feel like a regular job that they're applying for. Okay, so it's all very psychological. Interview pre-screen. This is how you weed people out in the beginning, but also help them to understand what a group interview is, so they're not sitting there feeling like they're at an Amway meeting. They don't feel like you're hiring them to sell vitamins or something. Then you've got the interview script itself, interview questionnaire, interview post-screen. This is where you actually hire people. This is where people get jacked to show up to training. And then you got the training confirmation and acceptance letter that you give them. And again, this improves your show to training. So back up. Then I have everything from scheduling training to suggested compensation structures. Because guys, here's the other thing. Why is it so hard to hire people for a sales job? Because when people hear sales and commission, they automatically just think like lack of security, it's not guaranteed pay, it's a big risk, right? So they would choose, Tim Ferriss actually has a quote that says, people will choose unhappiness over uncertainty. So they'll gladly bang their head against a wall at OfficeMax for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for $10 an hour, instead of take a job where they could literally make $100,000 by Thanksgiving. Why? Because they feel like there's not enough security there for them to do it. So we have a suggested pay structure in here, and this is another huge reason why people show up to training and launch, because you guys don't have to be spending like guaranteed weekly pay, hundreds of dollars a week, thousands a month on somebody just to get them going until they get some commissions turned over. Because what if that person quits after 7 weeks? You've wasted $3,500 on them and you got nothing out of them, right? So don't do that anymore. But you also can't just tell them it's going to be commission only, because the people that are willing to do a commission only job from the get-go are a very small pool of people. You can't recruit on a large scale with that. So I've got like a guaranteed base pay structure in here, but it's brilliant. But it's basically, they only get paid for activity. So you'll see when you're in there, but this is going to help you guys protect yourself from what I call hemorrhaging out base pay, but it also helps it be a more of an attractive position for them to hire onto. And then there's bonus content, which again is just basically getting virtual coaching calls with me, because I just upload, videos in here talking about how to do everything. So you're going to get stuff like that as well. But that's kind of an overview of the program. Obviously, it's been working really well for people.